Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle. And I've got a really fun, exciting episode for you guys today. This is my next episode in my series of vinyl haul videos where I show you guys what I picked up in the last several months. I like to just use these as a catalog for my growing collection, which I have a little bit of an obsession with. I keep telling myself I'm going to lay back a little bit and not buy as many this period, but always ends up happening, so here we are again. And so I've got a pretty good stack to talk about today. If you guys like these style videos, I do them every few months, like I said, but I also do all kinds of cool prog content, so please subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd appreciate that. And so here we go with some interesting vinyl. I'm going to try to go through them pretty quickly, so this video isn't too incredibly long. Just give my quick impressions of each and maybe the story behind why I picked them up and why I like those records. A lot of them you've probably been seeing in past videos on the wall. But I'm including everything, even if I've mentioned the album on the channel, just because I'm a completionist and I want to include everything. So that's what we're going to do here. This covers basically between May of this year to August of 2022. So a lot to cover in these last several months. And I'm going to start with a big chunk of vinyl that I got during my May trip that I took with my wife for our anniversary. Talked about it a little bit on the channel, but we always do a little bit of a trip around the beginning of May because we got married on May 5th. And this was our 10-year anniversary, so a pretty significant, special one. So went to a few places, and wherever we went, I had to check out the record store there and pick up some things. So this is what I got during that trip. Alright, so first, a classic here. I got the Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, just to complete my the albums that I enjoy. You know, the albums that everyone enjoys, from Dark Side of the Moon to The Wall, is my period of Pink Floyd that I really enjoy. This was the missing piece to that collection, so definitely a must-have item for any collector of progressive rock and classic rock and all of that stuff. This is just monumental album, really cool stuff, had to have it. I picked up this one. This is Mars Volta, Francis the Mute. One of my favorite Mars Volta records. I already had picked up their debut record, their first full-length, but thought this one should be in the collection as well because it's probably my second favorite, or hovering around there. A really cool record. This one is cool because it comes with multicolored vinyl. Each LP is a different color, so I thought that was interesting. LP1 is the red color, and LP2 is blue. So I thought that was cool to have two different colors for this collection. Then I picked up a newer record. This is Tears for Fears' latest record, The Tipping Point. I really enjoy this record. Of course, not totally prog, but I think it's really well liked by lots of prog fans because it's very intelligently written pop music with some Beatles-esque inspiration and, of course, 80s style. You know, a lot of their classic period albums are from the 80s. But this is a really great record, one of my favorites so far of the year, so I felt like I should have a copy. And this one comes on a cool colored vinyl as well. This green color I thought was really nice. So interesting package, interesting album. So glad to add that one to the collection. This next one I sort of picked up on a whim because I wasn't very familiar with this, but I know it's a classic band that a lot of people love, who love the same kind of music as me, so I thought I'd give it a chance, especially with some Roger Dean artwork, I suppose. This is Uriah Heap, The Magician's Birthday. I thought this would be fun to pick up on vinyl as well, to give it a shot, and so this is a cool package as well. It came out, I believe, on a record store day, so I'm picking it up after the fact, after it was available on Record Store Day. Comes with this cool Galaxy Swirl vinyl color that I thought was neat as well. So definitely cool to have this one in the collection and to check out. A new band to me. I know people will be screaming at me, how did you not know about Uriah Heap? But just, you know, there's random bands that I just never really connected with or haven't tried out yet because just wasn't in my circle of knowledge. So checking them out now and enjoying the process. Now I picking up a few used records. This is still during that May trip I'm talking about. I used to not try not to pick up used records because I just thought, oh, the sound quality won't be as good, and I'd rather have brand new records. But I've been opening myself up to it because it's a good way to acquire a lot of records. And if I find a better, newer copy, I can always replace it. So it's good as a placeholder and good to have for these classic records that are hard to find any other way, really, anyways. So first on the used list here, I got Gentle Giant and their live album Playing the Fool, a classic live album, one of my favorite live albums. So this was definitely one I wanted to have in the collection. I love Gentle Giant, one of my favorite progressive rock groups, so this should be a lot of fun to dive into. I picked up Focus, their record Moving Waves, another classic in the genre. Of course, this has the classic Hocus Pocus song that's really a classic in all meanings of the word. You know, me and Jana even reacted to that one. It was a lot of fun. So this is a cool record. Definitely glad to have it in the collection as well. Next, in my effort to complete my Genesis collection here, I picked up, and then there were three, maybe an underrated album from Genesis. I think this is one of the last really progressive records. I mean, I think Duke is really, to me, the end, the official end of their progressive period, moving into the pop realm. But this is really a good one too, that came about. You know, they lost such a monumental person in Steve Hackett, but I think they still managed to make a pretty good record here that's worthy of their discography. So glad to have this one in there. Also picked up Mask from Kansas, a classic Kansas record. Trying to slowly build up a Kansas collection because I really love the band. I have Left Overture, Point of No Return. Now I'm adding this to the makes, and of course there's a couple other awesome 70s albums that I still need to pick up, but slowly making my way through their catalog, so this is a really good one. Once again, another Genesis record, this time one of their early records. This is Trespass. To me, really the first true Genesis record as we know them, with the classic Peter Gabriel lineup and sound. I know they have an album before this one, From Genesis to Revelation, but this is really where it all begins for me and my love of the band, so this is some really great stuff. A little bit primitive compared to what would come a little bit later, but still some really classic cuts on here that are really stalwarts of the genre, even if we don't quite have the full classic lineup, you know, no Phil Collins yet in the band, but a really great record and really fun to listen to. Another classic one, another used vinyl that I had to have and add to the collection. I've been really slowly acquiring all the Jethro Tull records because I did that big Jethro Tull album ranking that I encourage you guys to check out. I've been inspired ever since that show to really check out the band because I really loved what I heard there. Of course, I'd heard those records before and all of the classics, but it really brought them in a new light to do a very in-depth project of ranking all their albums, and I thought this was one of the strongest ones in their collection, so I wanted to snatch up a copy of Minstrel in the Gallery by Jethro Tull. Now, here's a record that I picked up. This one's not used. This is actually a new record, one of the new, I believe it's a new stereo makes of the album that came out not too long ago, maybe in fact a year or so ago. But this is Fugazi, of course, really a fabulous record, really fun. I did a project of ranking Marillion albums that has made me somewhat obsessed with this band as well, so I had to pick this one up as part of that, building up the hype of listening to all their works. If you haven't seen it yet, I did a video with notes reviews on their channel where we ranked the Marillion albums that I had a lot of fun with, so go check that one out if you haven't yet. But this is a really cool record, one that really stood out to me in the rankings. I thought this was better than I expected it would be, and a really fabulous early era, Fish era album for Marillion. Another newer record, this is Pineapple Thief, Give It Back. I believe I've had it in the background for quite a few videos. This is a really cool new record. Of course, it's somewhat of a remakes, redoing some of their songs with Gavin Harrison. Now that he's joined the band as the drummer, he's going sort of back in their catalog and picking out the songs that he thought would be interesting to redo in his style. So it's re-recorded versions of classic Pineapple Thief songs, and they sound really fantastic. Just the production levels and all of that stuff just sounds really crisp and clean, and it's just a really great collection of songs from the band, almost like a greatest hits collection. If you know, it's a little bit of a random smattering of songs, but really stands as a great compilation disc, as well as a good introduction to the band and their newest iteration of it. So really cool. Another used record I picked up during this is still that May trip I took. These are all from that same trip, so I went a little bit crazy. This is Steely Dan, Katie Lied. Love Steely Dan. My dad's a huge fan of Steely Dan, so I've been listening to them ever since I was young, when he was playing it in the car and at home and all of that stuff. So I had to have this record. I'd love to collect more Steely Dan records as I come across them, but this is a record I really love, so I thought it was worth picking up a good little copy of it. And once again, a used copy, but a really solid copy of it. And then the final record I got on my little journey in May is this one, Pearl Jam's 10, which I picked up knowing that me and Jana were going to talk about it on our classic album show, so you could check that one out if you haven't seen that yet, where we talk through this album, do a little bit of a reaction to Black, and have a great time discussing this classic early 90s grunge record that I think was really influential to the genre and is a really solid one to check out. So really enjoyed listening through to this one and trying to branch out a little bit beyond just the prog stuff. I know I'm mostly centered in prog and always will be, but it's fun to get some other classic albums from related and close by genres in rock music and related. So it's really fun, and this was a fun one to dig into. Alright, going back to some newer prog albums that I got, and this is an album I covered on the channel, gave a review of. This is the new Kaipa record, Kaipa, Urskog is the name of the record. Beautiful cover, like a forest setting, really, really nice music. It's another solid release from them, really everything you'd come to expect from them, some great symphonic prog, beautiful in its sound. And it's just a really solid record that, if you like the band, if you like this brand of symphonic prog, if you like things like Flower Kings and The Tangent and bands of that ilk, you're probably going to like this. A little bit of a folky edge, but really fun and really has a lot of energy and stuff going for it. So I really enjoyed this record. A record that's been growing on me, this is Pure Reason Revolution, Above Cirrus. It was one I didn't originally pre-order. I wasn't sure about it, but once I heard it in order to review it on the channel, I fell in love. I thought this was just one of the best top releases of the year. I've been really excited about it. It's a band that's on the rise for me, that's quick becoming one of my favorites in the modern prog scene. I love their last record as well, Eupnia. This is really fun, and it's a cool, I believe, violet-colored vinyl, so I thought that was neat as well. You can see that color, really nice, really beautiful, so a really cool album that I really recommend to all fans of, a little bit of a heavier prog style, somewhat along the lines of a Tool or something like that, but with some really luscious, cool harmonies and great good hooks and strong songwriting. Really a high-level release that I would recommend to anyone who's wanting to check out some great new prog music. So the next couple albums are really special to me. I love the Flower Kings. They're one of my favorite all-time groups. I'm just obsessed with them. They're really one of the bands that brought me into the genre, to be honest. Back when I was discovering prog in the early 2000s, my dad showed me the old classic prog, but it was my discovery of bands like Spock Spirit and Flower Kings that really solidified my type of music. And I've been excited about this reissue campaign they've been doing for these new Flower Kings records, so excited to show these off. I plan to pick up all of them because I'm an obsessive fan, but the first set of two here, this is Back in the World of Adventures, and they have like new cool covers. Some of the songs have been remixed by Roina Stolt, so some interesting Easter eggs and things to uncover. It's not just your standard recopy of these old albums. There's a bit of new juice to explore and to have fun with, which I really like. Some people are a little bit on the fence about it, or what are they doing to these classic songs a little bit, are the remixes worth it? But since I already have the old versions on CD and in other formats, I'm fine with slightly different versions here. So this has been a lot of fun to dive into and really exciting to rediscover their catalog a little bit, just in a really fun, fascinating way. So really cool to have their albums on vinyl, because I haven't had their classic albums on vinyl. I have Unfold the Future that I picked up a while back, and I have their 3 latest records that came out on vinyl post me getting into vinyl, but all of their albums before that I just haven't had before. Either they haven't been on vinyl at all, or I just didn't pick them up when they came out. So, and this one has a yellow transparent yellow style to it, which I thought was cool. All of these Flower Kings ones are coming out with cool varieties of colors and such, so definitely cool to unpack that. The other one, of course, is Retropolis, another interesting, new, different kind of cover, but a really fantastic classic album by them. These are all just such strong albums by the band, and it's just such a pleasure to get to rehear them with fresh ears on a fresh format. This one, I believe, is in like a magenta color vinyl, so really cool stuff, really fun record, fun experience getting to relive these records. I picked up this one. This is Raw Data Feel by Everything Everything. They're more of a pop rock or indie rock kind of band, but I really like them. They have some unique tendencies, some progressive leanings on some of their releases. I feel like this one leans heavier into the pop feel, more like an 80s inspired pop, but it's a really cool record that I've really been loving, and I felt like I had to have a physical copy of it. Just sometimes I need that. Sometimes with all the complex, crazy progressive rock that I tend to listen to, it's fun to have just a nice, cool pop record that I can just put on and enjoy and not think too hard about, and just enjoy the melodies and the beats and all that stuff. So there's room for all kinds of music, of course, and so it's fun to explore beyond the bounds of my typical prog. But back into the typical prog, I picked up, of course, The Tangent, Songs from the Heart Shoulder. This is another great record from the band. They're just super solid. Every album they release has a good quality to it. You know, some releases maybe I prefer over others, but generally I always find something to enjoy on every record they put out. And this one I think is a fantastic one, really a higher level album from them on the upper tiers, I think. Definitely worth checking out. 3 really solid, longer, epic tracks, and then 1 shorter track at the end. Just a really cool release that I think has been one of the stalwarts of the prog genre so far this year. So fun to dive in. I did a reaction to one of the songs with my wife on it, so really a fun time being had with this record. Andy Tillison really knocked it out of the park with this release. I thought it was a really strong one. Another great release from the year, Tiktalika from Charlie Griffiths. This is, of course, one of the guitarists of Haken doing a solo album. I love this cover. It's very Roger Dean-esque, even though it's not Roger Dean, but it's done in that style. It's just a beautiful cover. I really love this record. I think it's a fantastic concept record. It's a little bit on the heavier end, definitely has metal, thrash metal tendencies, but it's done in a tasteful way. It's not too overwhelming. There's little bits of growling vocals here and there, but it's not throughout the whole record. There's a good variety of different singing, but it all hangs together as a great concept and some really wonderful songs. I think Charlie Griffiths did an incredible job with this record, so highly recommended. One of my favorite albums so far of the year. I really like this one. And then an album that's been talked about a lot. This is the Porcupine Tree record, Closure Continuation. I really love it. I know there's probably some mixed feelings. Some people don't dig it as much or just don't view it as quite on the same level as some of their classics. But I've really been enjoying it. I think every song is strong, and I'm just happy to have the band back in whatever form I can get it. And this is a really solid release. Just some really great tracks on it. Just a really cool project by one of my favorite groups. Glad to have it and excited for what's to come from them. Hopefully there's a continuation from this. It seems like they're having pretty good success with this record, so that probably is a good sign towards what could be happening in the future, but we'll see. So really good record. I recommend it. I like it. Other people may not be as enthused, but I think it's a really worthy addition to their catalog and really strong. Here's another used record I picked up as part of the Classic Albums project I'm doing with my wife. This is a little bit of a perhaps peek behind the curtain. I mean, I think we've already announced that this is the next one we're doing. This is The Police and their album Synchronicity, just a classic record from the 80s that me and Jen are going to be talking about soon in a week or so. Should be a fun episode, and it's fun to dive into these classic albums that, sometimes I get such tunnel vision for prog music. It's nice to branch out and do something a little different with my listening. And so it's been fun listening to this one, a little bit more on the pop/rock side of the spectrum, but really solid record, really great playing, really great songs. So great one to look into. And so when I picked up that one, I saw that the same seller, this was on Discogs, had a couple others for a good price that I thought would be worth adding to the collection. The first of those, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy from Elton John, one of his classic records I thought was worth picking up. I have Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which is my only Elton John LP I have so far. So this adds a second one, so it's cool to have this. I think this is one of his best. So great cover art, great classic album from the 70s. And then I also picked up one of my last remaining Jethro Tull records that I hadn't gotten yet, which is War Child. One that's probably not as highly regarded as others, but I really enjoyed in my listen through of their catalog. I think it's a really solid record with some great stuff. And like Skating Away on the Thin Ice of a New Day is one of my favorite Jethro Tull tracks of all time. So definitely a worthy addition into my Jethro Tull album collection, and should be a fun one to dive into. So another great one. And speaking of Jethro Tull, I also picked up Aqualung on vinyl. This is a newer version of it. This is the Steven Wilson remix. I believe it's from 2011. But this, I believe, was newly reissued or something. I got a newer copy of it, just ordered it off Amazon, and really excited to have that. I felt like it was a necessary piece to this Jethro Tull collection I'm amassing, and I thought it was worthy of getting the newer copy with the Steven Wilson remix. Excited to dive into that as well. Really great artwork and just a total classic of the genre. Definitely one of their best works, and a classic in music, in classic rock and prog and all of that stuff. So definitely a album that's worthy of the collection. All right, so we're getting into albums that I picked up really recently. I got the next two of the Flower King set. You know, I showed Back in the World Adventures and Retropolis. Now we've got Space Revolver, which ranks up there highly, was one of my favorite Flower Kings records. I really love this. Beautiful record. Really excited. Find it interesting that they didn't really do anything different with the cover art, which I've always found this cover to be kind of interesting with like the floating heads and such, but it's classic, right? So it's cool to have the classic cover. Once again, a few different remixes on here that give slightly different versions that Roy Stolt has been working on, but just glad to add this to my collection. And I believe it's a cool magenta style vinyl, if I'm right, or red. Yeah, I guess it's just a red vinyl. Really nice, and glad to have it here. And of course, the other Flower Kings one that came out, Flower Power. Another classic album, another classic cover. They redid the other two covers, but these are pretty much exactly as they've always been. Very psychedelic and, flowery, as their name suggests. Really cool to have this on vinyl as well. Of course, the classic Garden of Dreams suite, and then the second disc with all of the other shorter tracks, but a lot of great material. These are both big, massive double albums, 3 LPs, I believe, in the set. So this one, I believe, is a green vinyl, which matches the cover pretty well. So you see the green color. So just a really cool set of albums, and I've already pre-ordered the next set of Space Revolver and The Rainmaker. So those should be coming hopefully by the next Vinyl Haul video that I do, but we'll see. Could take a while. I've been ordering them from overseas, so it takes them a while to get around to my neck of the woods, but it's always worth it. So, and then of course I have to mention this album by Uriah Okamoto, The Myth of the Mistrophes. I showed off the vinyl in my review of this album, which I recommend you guys check out if you haven't seen yet. This is one of the best albums of the year, full stop. This is a fantastic record. Definitely fulfills that Spock's Beard itch. If you've been itching for a new Spock's Beard record, it's almost pretty much a Spock's Beard record here. It has all the members from Spock's Beard, at least the current iteration and recent iterations. Of course, Neil Morse doesn't make an appearance, but besides that, all of the other guys are there, and they sound fantastic. Also, he gets help from his project members, from his cover band that he's been working with, and Michael Whiteman from I'm the Manic Whale is co-writing a lot of stuff with him and sings on the record and does a lot of arranging and things of vocals and other musical items. So really a great record, recommended to all lovers of classic symphonic prog in the style of Spock's Beard. This is just a classic. Love the big epic. As I listen to it more and more, it's just always brings a smile to my face. It's just joyful, great, positive, fun music, and I needed it. So this is a great album. I picked up the first Tangent record, The Music That Died Alone, came out on vinyl recently. This is a cool collection as well. One of the best, they came out of the gate hot. This is one of their best records, maybe the best record. It's just, it came out, when it came out, came out of nowhere for me, and when I heard it, I was blown away. Of course, I was eager to check it out because it involves Royna Stolt, who's one of my favorite heroes of the modern progressive rock scene, but really fantastic. Andy Tillison really making his mark in the prog genre, and they haven't looked back since. So this is a fabulous debut record that I would recommend to any lover of modern symphonic progressive rock. Just really classic. And then we're getting to my birthday haul a little bit. It was my birthday last weekend. Probably when this video is being released, it's like a week and a half ago or so. On August 5th was my birthday. From my wife, she got me this vinyl. I put a picture of it up on Twitter, so you may have seen this if you're on social media. But this is Lost in the New Reel from Ari and Anthony Lucassen. Of course, the genius behind Star One and Arion and all of those records. This is his first, maybe not his first, but a true solo record from him that was off the beaten path of his usual stuff, but definitely has a lot of those vibes. But I think it's a lot more dreamy and atmospheric in parts. There's some Pink Floyd-esque type sections, some Beatles-esque stuff as well. But it's a really fabulous solo record that really gives him a chance to shine. I recommend this highly. This is a beautiful version of it too. I was just so grateful to my wife. She knew that this was an important one for me, and really grateful for her. Just beautiful artwork. And then it's a really cool style of vinyl as well. This, magenta, purplish color. Just really cool stuff. And really happy to add this to the collection. I've already been listening to it. It's fabulous. So recommend this one strongly for all of you guys out there. And then just a few days ago, I had a birthday party with the rest of my family, with my parents and my sisters. And we had a good time over at my parents' house. And my sister got me this record, one that I had on my list for a while. This is Carnival and the album Themata. This is a classic progressive rock record. Maybe more progressive metal. I really like Carnival. They have a very interesting style that I've always enjoyed, and this is a record that really stood out to me when it first came out and has always been a fun one to listen to. So I was glad to get this copy of Themata, great add to the collection, and a band that I haven't heard in quite some time, so I'm excited to delve back into them and really get into this. My dad, of course, he had to get me a record that he loves, Let It Be by the Beatles. Really excited to re-listen to this as well. It's been a somewhat popular album because of the Get Back series on Disney Plus that chronicles the creation of a lot of these tracks. Really a fabulous record. This is some new mixes by Giles Martin and Sam O'Kell, and so this should be fun to dive into to get slightly different mixes, but definitely wanted to add this in. Love the Beatles. My dad's a fanatic of the Beatles, so of course when he saw this on my list, he had to pick it up for me. But the big main attraction of the birthday, my dad picked up this one. This is Porcupine Tree, Fear of a Blank Planet, which I was really excited for him to pick up for me. This has been a missing piece to my Porcupine Tree vinyl collection for quite some time, so really happy to get this one. But even more exciting, when I flipped it around to look at it, my dad surprised me with tickets to the Porcupine Tree concert coming up. So me and my dad are going to be going to the Greek Theater to see them at the end of September. So I had been looking at tickets, but I'd been chickening out a little bit. The price seemed a bit high, and the seats didn't seem too great that were left. And I know Greek Theater can be a little bit of a tricky venue to get to and can be crowded and difficult. But my dad wants to go with me, and he always loves us going to concerts. He's not really very familiar with Porcupine Tree, but we've gone to many progressive rock concerts, and he's enjoyed all of them. So really great gift from my dad. I'm really grateful for him and what he did for me on that one, and excited to go to the concert. It'll be a fun experience for the two of us to go and attend and see what's up with the band. So those are the things. And I also realized that on my wall I have one I didn't talk about, the other Tangent record. So I'll pull that one down. This is The World That We Drive Through. I just recently got this a couple days ago, the second Tangent record that just came out on vinyl. This is a cool one, right in line with the debut. Just follows along those same lines. A beautiful package here, and even the vinyl color. I didn't show the other one, which was a light blue color, but this one's translucent green color to match the cover. So really fantastic record. I'm really a fan, especially of these early Tangent records. I think they really knocked it out of the park in their early days here in this period with these albums that feature Roy Stolt on them. Really a great collection of records. So that's my vinyl haul. Hopefully you guys enjoyed what I had for you guys here today. A lot of cool records that I've picked up recently. Hopefully this wasn't too long for you guys. I tried to go through it fairly quick, but I know it's a lot of records. So thank you guys so much. Please let me know in the comments what vinyl you've picked up recently over the past several months. What albums in this collection did you really like that I showcase? Which ones are you interested in checking out that maybe you haven't heard yet? Would really be interested in all of that in the comments. And of course, as I've mentioned, please subscribe if you haven't yet. It would be wonderful to see more subscribers, more people joining in the fun of discovering new music and talking about great progressive rock, both old and new. It's a fun thing to do, and I'm really excited to continue it here on the channel. So thank you guys so much, and I'll hopefully catch you guys in another video. So please enjoy the music out there. Bye, everybody.